Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Nada Yada Island.
I knew I deserved so much more, so I left. I finally switched to Metro and got what I was looking for.
Get one line for only $25 a month with AutoPay. Just bring your phone to Metro and experience all the data you want on the largest 5G network. That's Nada Yada Yada, only at Metro by T-Mobile.
First month is $30. Bring your number and ID. Offer not available if with T-Mobile or with Metro in the past 180 days.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to AI Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
Never mind that. Happy New Year, you miserable old bugger.
And Happy New Year to you and all the listeners as well, and obviously to Mr. Guy Drinkle. I'm not sure they celebrate New Year's where he lives, but, you know, he floats in and out of different time zones, so it's fine. Karl, this weekend we have Liverpool versus Manchester United, but before that, we are dealing with somewhat of a media storm around the club, and in particular around one player, that is vice captain Trent Alexander-Arnold. Reports prior to New Year's that he had told Liverpool he would not be re-signing. Those came from Spain. We know how Madrid manipulate the media over there and use them as a propaganda arm of the club. But then yesterday, from both David Ornstein and Paul Joyce, we had reports that Liverpool had been approached by Real to buy Trent now, that those approaches or overtures were rebuffed immediately. But then Lewis Steele, Paul Joyce and others reporting last night that Real planned to bid again, which to me suggests that they weren't rebuffed in the strongest manner possible. What do you make of all this? Is this Real have to have had some sort of nod, maybe from Trent's team, that this could be a possibility? What do you make of all this?
Bit of a clown show would be my first assessment of it. I don't know what they'll have been told by Trent and his team for a mid-season move. It would strike me as extremely odd that he would be happy to leave at this point, given that we are in the positions that we are, domestically and in Europe. I mean, I think pretty much everyone knows he wants to go now. It's not much of a secret, is it? It looks so much like he just wants to go. And I think, at least from the people I've spoken to, most seem to be not happy about it, obviously, because he'll be leaving on a free, but most seem to be kind of like shrugging their shoulders. It's a bit annoying. It's a bit bad that we lose him for free. It's a stupid position to be in. And it's very poor that such a valuable player and an academy player would leave for free. Like, that's just rubbish on the part of the club as much as him. But really, I think priorities lie elsewhere, whether that would be the same feeling as it seems to be to me if Virgil and Mo weren't also out of contract and we're trying to renew them. Like, if it was only Trent and he was just not renewing, I think it might be a bit more anger towards him. But then I also feel, if things start going backwards and forwards with Madrid and like he doesn't sign and he has the opportunity to go, or it kind of looks a bit contrived, like they're giving this club the opportunity to get money for him and he can say after it was the club's choice, I think there would be quite a bit of disdain towards Trent at that point, to be honest, because there's no reason or way that we would sell him now unless it's an astronomical offer and he says, I'm going for sure, and he just doesn't care about the title or, winning the Champions League again with us or whatever. I'd prefer that he was upfront about that if that's the case. That's perfectly fine if you have other priorities. I've never had any issue with that. but just say so. Like, there's no point like us hearing all the stuff that we have over the last year or so about, oh, club captain, vice captain, really honoured, blah, blah, blah. You're not, because you want to go. So that's fine if you do, but just say so.
Yeah, this is the thing. If you want to go, let the club know now. Like, the reporting is that he has not told Liverpool that he wants to leave. But from the outside looking in, he has not at any point publicly stated a desire to stay at the club. This Real Madrid bid does not come from nowhere. They haven't done this without some sort of nod from him. And there's been absolutely no progression. Like, even taking out the media and just the couple, there's like a handful, not even a handful, it's maybe a fingerful of people who do get legitimate information out of the club through, friends, family that work for the club, whatever. All of those people suggest that Virgil will sign, Mo will sign, and David Ornstein has reported this as well, that he believes both Mo and Virgil will sign 2-year deals. Nobody is saying, I think Trent will stay. The expectation is Trent will stay. A deal is almost done. Nobody is saying that, either in the media or among the information community. So it does very much look like he has made a decision to go. And it has been 12 months of his brother going around calling him Trent McManaman. That's not something that's just made up. That is a factual thing that's happening. His brother has been walking around telling people he's going to Real Madrid and calling him Trent McManaman. And it's a really bad look for the club vice captain. But this has kind of been a real possibility since 2021, when he was offered a 6-year contract, the same contract Alisson was offered, and he turned it down and insisted on a 4-year deal, meaning he could leave for free at 26 rather than at 28. My concern here, Carl, is that if we keep him and he's decided to go, is he committed? Is he fully committed? Is he going to run through a brick wall to try and win us a league title and a Champions League? Is he going to risk injury to win us a league title and a Champions League? Or is he going to be more focused on next season and his move? And that's where I have real concerns.
Yeah, I have to agree. Look, I mean, if it's just about the move and he wants to do the move, that's fine. I still think there are ways around it, even if it is in the summer. Like we tell Real Madrid, 20 million, 25 million, something like that, and that's the price that they pay. He signs a 1-year extension, but they get him anyway, kind of thing. So it is a contracted deal, which can be done. It's fine. But the cloak and daggers nature of it, the pretending, the fact that we can pretty much all see how this is going to play out. There's not going to be any Roy Keane style turnaround, should we say here. All the listeners will probably be able to remember the time when he was out of contract at the end of the season, and he very openly said, I'll look at it at the end of the season. It's not been anything like that. And he was expected to go to Italy, I think it was at the time, maybe Inter Milan, I can't remember.
Juventus,
was it? Yeah. And
yeah.
Andy said, no, now I'll see, and now I'll speak to the club. And he did, and he signed a new deal. There's not going to be anything like that, because it's never been anything like that all the way along. It's never been a case of anybody at all being open or honest about the situation or anything like that. So, as I've said before, I think that the appointment of what at the time was 6 months and ended up being longer and really had nothing achieved by it in the slightest, if we're being honest, that anybody else couldn't have done at the club already. It was a big waste of time for the club, but it was also, now we're seeing a potentially costly maneuver as well.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, Edwards leaving, Ward leaving, no sporting director, then Schmatke, who was really only brought in to be an assistant to Jurgen, the lack of somebody to oversee the contract situations is enormously costly to us. And now we're in this situation. And do you think, just given the fact that the alternative is keeping him for 6 months, he meanders through games, as we've seen him do last season and the season before. There were massive questions to be asked about his attitude and his application. Do you think it's worth the club kicking the tires on Pedro Porro, for example, seeing what Spurs would want for him, and then going to Real and saying, right, we've got a deal to sign Pedro Porro for 50 million. You're going to pay half of that. So give us 25 for Trent, and you can have him now. It doesn't have to be Porro. We know Barcelona are in serious financial trouble. Could you go to them and ask about Jules Koundé and see if there's a deal that can be done there? Pick your right back, whoever it might be. Does the club have a duty to explore those type of moves and see if they can? It could be Vanderson from Monaco, maybe. And see if they can acquire a high-level right back. It won't be someone as good as Trent because there's nobody as good as Trent. But as I've said before, he's not as irreplaceable in this team as he was under Jurgen.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something the club have to explore?
I'd be surprised if they have him already, I'll be honest. But I would also say that, same as we did a few months back, this also depends on what the plan is for left back. These are exclusive parts of the team here. They have to balance each other out. So, at the minute or let's say over the last years, we've had the energy and direct running and athleticism of Robertson and probably a bit more defensively solid. But then on the other side, you have less speed, less up and down all game long, but more creativity, more technique, a bit slower paced sort of thing. But you don't have to stick to that now. You don't have to find a Trent Light. You don't have to find any particular kind of right back. You just have to marry up the left and the right back approach that you're going to have. So the only way I think we could really go and do what you're saying and buy someone in January is if we already know who we want and who we're going to have for the opposite side. Otherwise, I do think it's going to leave us not like wasting money or anything necessarily, but it's going to restrict what we can do on the opposite flank. If we already know who we're going to go for and we've had, good nods to say, yep, that could be done, then by all means you take that sort of risk, if you like, that you don't get that one done in the end, but at least you had a reason to do so. But if we haven't yet decided, if we haven't figured out either financial terms or tactical terms or whatever, who that left side should be or the type of player or which way round we want to balance it. Do you want to, let's say, should we say Arsenal style fullbacks now? Do we want one playmaker and one thrusting player? Do we want one sitting in to make a three? As long as the plan is done, then yeah, you could potentially go and do it. But if we don't already know who that opposite side is going to be, I think that would be a very difficult thing to do.
But I think it actually makes it a little bit easier for you to approach that left back situation if you know who your right back is going to be. The problem we have right now is we don't know who our right back is next season.
Yeah, we don't know either of them. That is the problem.
This is the thing. So if we were to go now and let's just say we got Jules Koundé. Well, now you're looking for more of an attack-minded left back. So that removes the Lucabas, the Hincapiés, the Hatos. It removes that profile of player. And now you're looking more at the Eight Nouris, Miguel Gutierrez, potentially Milos Kerkez, somebody like that. Like, for me, Koundé and Eight Nouri would be a fantastic pairing. Or Porro and Hincapié. So you have one of each. So that, to me, I would drive the left back decision by doing the right back decision first and ensuring that we know who that player is going to be for the next 4 to 5 years. Like Koundé and Hakimi, who I think is worth kicking the tires on as well, because despite a year's worth of reporting that he's close to signing a new deal with Paris Saint-Germain, no new deal has been forthcoming. He's got 18 months left in his contract. And I do wonder if PSG might just be open to letting him go. Like, if you can go and get Hakimi, then again, you're looking for more of a Hincapié, Lukeba type. If you get Koundé, you go for the more attack-minded person. But they're both the same age as Trent. Poro's a little bit younger than Trent. Then you've got other options. We've talked about Malo Gusto before. Now, there's no chance, I don't think, that Chelsea let him go in January, but he could be someone maybe for the summer. But I think we're almost in a situation where we have to sort right back first. And if it means bringing it forward for this window, I'm kind of in favour of doing it, bringing in someone who will be committed, someone that maybe gets that 6 months of just, adrenaline. And while it's a step up for them to come into this league, this intensity, a team going for the title, and again, they're not going to be Trent, but they don't need to be Trent. If it's Hakimi, well, Hakimi's better than Trent at multiple different things. Koundé's better than Trent at multiple different things. So while the team might change a little bit, it doesn't necessarily have to get any worse.
What do you make of then along these lines of, let's say, flipping or switching or having the more attack-minded one on the left, linked recently with Alphonso Davies?
I mean, wouldn't that be a dream signing?
On a free as well?
On a free? So if we were looking at this situation thinking we need to get Trent signed, and then we need to go out and spend whatever our fullback budget is on a really good left back. And let's just say that was going to be like Castello Lukeba, who's going to cost 70 million. That's a really nice balance to have. Trent freed to be a bit more of a midfielder, a bit more of a playmaker, play a bit higher, can drift inside and outside. Lukeba can slide in with Virgil and Ibu to form a three. That looks like it's going to be off the table by Trent leaving. Now, we still have that type of budget. If we throw that budget into a Jules Koundé, be a little bit cheaper, it means we don't have a huge budget to go and get a left back. But if we're getting in Alphonso Davies, who the wages would be high, but not as high, I don't think, as what Trent is asking for or Trent is looking for. And I know he'd get a significant signing fee, but you can spread that across the course of the contract. You don't have to pay that in a lump sum. Most players don't want it in a lump sum because they get hammered on tax if they do that. Like Koundé and Davies would be an absolutely outrageous pairing. Jules Koundé and Ibu Konate on the right-hand side. You can now rule out anybody attacking us down that side. And then on the left side, Davies would be the defensive weak point, but behind him is the best centre-back on the planet. So you can give Davies a bit more freedom to get forward and provide that attacking thrust that he offers.
This is MLS and U.S. soccer commentator Brian Dunseth here to tell you the only podcast you need to fulfill your weekly soccer needs. It's Week in the Tackle.
And I'm Tom Rennie. We'll talk the Premier League title race, the Champions League, MLS expansionism, and the ongoing disappointments of our respective teams. It's all on Week in the Tackle.
Didn't your West Ham just win a European trophy?
Ah, that night in Prague. Sorry, what were we talking about?
A Week in the Tackle available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single episode.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
So you're liking the balance, the age profile, and the technical qualities of a quartet of Koundé, Konate, Van Dijk, Davies.
Yeah.
So let's add a bit of fuel to the fire of your excitement. One report in Spain today, which comes out of Sport, which is Catalan one, obviously, saying that Deco has sort of been looking at their summer attacking options. And obviously they've been linked with like Nico Williams for a long, long time, and Rafa Leao and a few others. But they say that the one Deco wants is Luis Diaz, who is not thrilled that there hasn't been contract negotiations to extend his, which runs to 2027. And after his form, obviously, earlier this season, and that Barca are quite keen on him. Would that be something you would be happy, A, to do, and B, to do involved in the Koundé deal somehow? That would mean it would probably wait till
summer. Yeah. Look, I think the more likely situation is that we wait till summer anyway. I don't know. I don't know that Liverpool would look at the optics of it and think, well, 25 million and we let Trent go. It kind of points to us being bullied a little bit to only get 25 million for a player of his quality. Because you know what will happen. People will remove the context of him only having 6 months left on his deal. And I think they'd rather just keep Trent in situ and trust that he will give, his best effort to try and leave on a high, to leave with another Premier League title. Because realistically, the only way Trent leaves without massive public backlash is if he leaves having delivered another title. And even then, there's going to be backlash. But if he can win a title with us and give 100% effort, it will dampen quite a bit of that. There will be a lot of people willing to forgive because he's given us 2 league titles, which is fair. But come summer, I'd absolutely approach Barcelona with Luis Diaz and say, if you want Luis Diaz, we want Jules Koundé. You have Mark Fort, a brilliant young right back that you're desperate to get in your first team. So you don't have a need for Jules Koundé, and your manager doesn't see him as a centre-back. He's not going to play him in the middle enough to warrant keeping him if you want to get Mark Fort into the team and continue to push the academy players. I would absolutely do that. I wouldn't be extending. Look, he's playing really well. I wouldn't be extending Luis Diaz. I wouldn't. He's 28 in 2 weeks. His contract runs, like you said, till 2027. I wouldn't be having any real interest in extending him.
So you'd be selling him this summer regardless then? Because it's
Yeah. This would be his last 6 months. And he's flying, so his value is going to be pretty high. Barca were linked to him all the last summer. We know that Deco likes him. And obviously, like you said, it's being reported now that he's top of Deco's list. We know that that's the move he wants because his dad has told the whole world. So yeah, that's absolutely a deal I'd love to see us make. Because if we can do that, then there's no cost really. Like Diaz is going to bring as much as Koundé. We can fiddle it for the books, so both teams can claim to have gotten 70 million for the player. Even if it's only 50 million is the kind of real value. Everybody pumps these type of deals. So Barca can claim they got 70 million for Koundé. That gives them financial relief. We can claim they've gotten 70 million for Diaz. That gives us extra flexibility. Or we throw the bag at Alphonso Davies in the meantime. Like, that's a deal I think you can probably put together in the next 6 months, that Koundé for Diaz deal, that everybody knows at the end of the season this is what's happening. Everybody within the clubs, not necessarily the players directly, but, Edwards, Hughes, Deco, etc. They can put that deal together now, and come the summer, it's just a very easy transition to make. And in the meantime, then we can commit to going full bore after Alphonso Davies.
It is surprising how you get to this position of the season and still think that there is so much improvement that can be made, or maybe needs to be made just by general regeneration year after year. But considering the position we are in, it's still a bit odd to be discussing it at that length.
I agree. I do agree. And of course, it would then lead to us requiring a replacement for Lucho. And I think there's a very obvious deal to go and make there, which is, Fede Chiesa hasn't really settled by all accounts. So maybe you go to Napoli and you say, we want Kvaratskhelia. We'd be willing to throw in Fede Chiesa in a deal, and maybe it's 80 million plus Chiesa and it gets Kvaratskhelia done. Now you've got a left-hand side of Alphonso Davies and Kvaratskhelia, which would terrify the living Jesus out of every club in the league.
You're not going for Cody for Ballon d'Or then?
No. No. Cody's a fine squad player. Cody and Jota are great fourth and fifth options for us to have. But that's what they should be, is the fourth and fifth options. The standards need to go back up. I know we're doing really well this season, but when we win the league this year, and I said when we win the league this year, the sole basis of the summer needs to be to get better. Not the Jurgen bullshit of a plateau collecting relationships. No. You get better, you go, you win it again. Then you get better again and you go and you win it again. The standards need to be set at this club that winning is what matters, not celebrating taking it to the final day or any of that kind of nonsense. Let's get into Manchester United, Carl. It's amusing to see them struggling the way they are. They currently sit 14th in the Premier League. Obviously, in the summer, they had a managerial hunt, which resulted in them deciding to keep Erik ten Hag. They then backed him significantly with Xerxes, Yoro, De Ligt, Mazraoui and Ugarte, over £200 million spent. He lasted all the way until October 28th, despite rumours pretty much every week that he was about to be sacked. He was replaced by Ruben Amorim, who, as you know, I'm a huge fan of. Amorim walked through the door. There was a lot of promise. They drew at Ipswich, then they hammered Everton. Since beating Everton, they've lost 5 of their last 6 league games, and they haven't scored in any of their last 3 while losing them all. They've lost 3 home games in a row in the Premier League for the first time since God knows when. They've gone out of the League Cup, so it's actually 6 defeats and 7, if I'm not mistaken. They're a mess, and I don't really see what the fix is for them.
I think you're being kind. Very, very kind. Look, you mentioned they're 14th by the time this game takes place. They could be a position lower than that. Palace beat Chelsea on the Saturday. Chelsea, obviously not in good form at the minute, back-to-back defeats. Crystal Palace seem to be finding their form, 1 defeat in 6. So there's absolutely no reason that won't be a Palace victory, which would leave United 15th. And we've already spoken about what they've got coming up. They've got Arsenal away straight away after Liverpool away. I know that's a cup game, but still the defeats mounting up reduces the confidence, the coherence, the willingness of the players sometimes to go that extra bit of distance. It's not an easy one to break out of. I was going to go over the 2024 table, as pointless as it is, with you, but just for mostly Manchester United's sake. But instead, we'll do it this way around. Where do you think they rank in terms of Premier League points won across the calendar year of 2024?
Oh, wow.
I'll give you context, obviously. Liverpool and Arsenal both have 85 points. They are at the top, and Southampton obviously at the bottom with 6.
But of course, only played half a season.
Yes, but so too did Sheffield United, and they are above Southampton, and they would.
That's true. and they're one of the worst Premier League teams of all time.
Yeah.
Right, United finished 8th last season. They're 14th now. So I'm going to guess, I'm going to split it. I'm going to guess they're 11th over 2024.
Not far off at all. They are indeed 10th, 2 points ahead of Nottingham Forest, who are 11th. 51 points for Man United across the calendar year, which is
51 points.
51 points.
Do you know, we're both very old. We lived through the entirety of the Ferguson era. And for those that didn't, watching United win 13 league titles in the first 20 years of the Premier League. And not only that, but they lost 4 titles by a point or less. They lost 2 titles on goal difference and 2 titles by 1 point. Like they were razor thin margins from winning 17 of the first, I think it was 21. I think it was 17 of the first 21 Premier League titles. That's the level of dominance that you're talking about. Like something that even the great Liverpool team of the 70s and 80s didn't achieve in English football. To see them now where they are with all the money that they've spent, and you know it's easy to point at different reasons, but they've spent the money. Like it's not like the owners who are dreadful, it should be pointed out, but it's not like they haven't let them spend. But they've spent all this money so poorly. And a few months ago, I went through like a little exercise of going through every player United had signed since Ferguson left. And of those they spent significant money on, I think I only found 4 players that you'd consider a success. And there was another 4 or 5 that had been like frees, like older players that arrived on a free. Like Zlatan, when he came in, did really well for them. But they've just, I think it's 1.7 billion or something, 1.8 billion that they've spent in the 10 years since Ferguson left. And about 1.6 billion of that has just been frittered away on players that are ill-fitting or just not good enough. And if we look at the Summers business, like Xerxes was taken off after half an hour the other day and booed by the fans. That's a horrendous thing for a young player to go through. That's going to absolutely destroy any confidence that he might have. Lenny Yoro has barely played because of injury, so put him to one side. De Ligt flopped at Juve, flopped at Bayern, and is well on his way to flopping at United already. He looks painfully slow. Like, he makes Harry Maguire look nimble. Mazraoui's been fine. He's been fine. He's had some good games. He's had some bad games. And Ugarte, the midfield doesn't make sense because they play him with Mainu. It's horrendous to pairing. They're both really good individual players, but a midfield is about a partnership. Neither of them are comfortable as the first receiver because neither of them are great passers of the ball. Both of them are very questionable positionally because both of them want to go and win the ball. Their natural instinct is to go and win the ball. And it leaves large open spaces in the middle of the field, which is not ideal when you've got a defence that's currently Matthias de Ligt, Harry Maguire, and Lisandro Martinez. So that pairing doesn't work. They've tried him with Casemiro, and that actually did work a little bit better. But Casemiro is he's at the end of his career. So they spent 60 million on Ugarte, but they need to go and buy a partner for him now. That's going to cost another 60, 70 million. The defence needs at least 2 new starters. They need at least 1 new wing back on the left-hand side. You could get away with Delo and Mazraoui, I think, as the right wing back to be a bit more defensively secure. And the attack just looks completely disjointed. You've got Bruno Fernandes, just doesn't look interested all that much. Højlund's very raw. Xerxes shot of confidence. Rashford has been banished. Garnacho, I don't know what's going on with him. Amad Diallo's the best attacker at the club right now, and it's not even close.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.